Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Yong Hajet. I'm one of the representatives from Taylor's Lakeside Model United Nations, and I'll be moderator for today. In conjunction with World Mental Health Day, we are having this guest speaker panel to talk about the topic of suicide prevention and also self-harm. We're very honored to be able to invite two very prominent speakers from our very own Taylor's School of Liberal Arts and also Science, Dr. Anasuya and also Ms. Pangjai. And also this event is also in collaboration with Taylor's Psych Society. So may the guest speaker please introduce themselves.
Okay, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever it is. I am Associate Professor Dr. Anasuya Jagadisan. I am currently the Director of the Center of Human Excellence and Development, as well as the Program Director for the Master of Counselling program in Taylor's University, or the soon to start Masters in Counselling program in Taylor's University, depending on when you're watching the video.
Okay, Ms. Pang.
Hi, my name is Ms. Pang. I'm a psychology lecturer at Taylor's University, Bachelor of Psychology. Some of you might see me around because I do teach foundation, I do teach diploma. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, it's great to have you guys here today. Okay, so I think you can start off our topic today. So the very first question is, do you think that the lockdown and pandemic are the biggest contributor to the recent rise in cases of suicide and also self-harm?
Are the lockdown and pandemic the biggest reason? I mean, short answer would be yes. Long answer is a bit more complicated. The short answer is yes, because the lockdown and pandemic created situations where people are stuck at home with potential abusive situations with themselves, where they need to have a way of expressing themselves, so they don't have a way of expressing themselves, with a situation where they don't have money, there's no income, and they feel guilty, they cannot support their families. There's fear levels which are going through the roof because they are in panic state. So yeah, I mean, the pandemic is the catalyst, and it's created a situation, but not everybody is going to be suicidal. Not everybody feels the need to suicide. So for those individuals in the pandemic situation who have this extraordinary circumstances or situations that are unique to them in their lives, that that put inside them a need to kill themselves, to end themselves, to stop the pain, or whatever, whatever terminology that you use. Yeah, that's where you have the complicated story of the catalyst. Okay, so it's not just the pandemic.
Okay, very interesting. So Ms. Pang, do you have anything to add on that?
I would like to call the pandemic and the lockdown as a catalyst that triggers all these emotions. And on top of that, it is also because when people try to reach out to other people, sometimes things get worse, because a lot of times we try to have this positive mindset where, oh, it's okay, it'll pass, you're gonna be fine. Sometimes the more you say that, right, it actually makes things worse for them. So sometimes when they choose to reach out and you don't say, I don't like to use the word, say the right thing, but when people are unaware what they're doing, sometimes it just makes things worse. So that can also be a trigger. Yeah.
I'm going to say, when people call you and people reach out to you and you don't give them space, it's not whether you say the right thing or you say the wrong thing. It is about providing people with a safe space. So when they reach out to you, you give them space to either express themselves negatively, express what they need to express, share what they need to express. Then from there, they can find their way to their own level of normal or positivity, or however they choose to heal. So it's not about what you say, sometimes it's about what you don't say. So sometimes the best thing to do is give them space. Just be there, be present with them, and that is enough to start that healing that Chia was talking about.
Okay, so a very interesting word caught my eye, so the word catalyst. So is it safe to say that it's also a catalyst, but is it say that it's a lot of underlying problem, and then this pandemic is the thing that sparked these kind of cases, right?
Yeah, but in this case, it's not sparked, it created a pressure cooker at home.
Okay, very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so moving on to the...
Sorry, I just want to add on, right?
Yeah,
our pandemic didn't just happen. It's going different cycle. This is like phase what? I lost count, but as much as we try to adapt to changes and everything, the first year was easier. But as time goes by, I also noticed within myself and with my students, it's eating them up very easily now. It's one of those that I think it's the build up. We try to be strong, we try to manage, we try to go through day by day. But at this point in time, I think it already built up and we don't realize how much it's biting us. We just thought we can manage, we can get through, everything will be going back to normal. There's no such thing as going back to normal. And I don't like the word normal. I'm not a big fan of the word normal because to me, it's still going to be a new environment, a new change, especially with schools opening up and things like that. So students are still scared of coming back for some students. Even parents, I have a young one. I am also concerned about, sending my daughter to school because she is only 5 years old. She can't be vaccinated. So what risk am I taking? So there is a lot of different kind of challenges that hits us. And the worst thing is hitting us at one spot. And we do not know. And psychologically, honestly, I think we still need human to human contact. And we're lack of that. Yeah, just to me, it's a build up since last year until now.
It's not just the build-up, it's the exhaustion. We are tired of it. We are tired of, tired of it going on and on. We're tired of the uncertainty. We are tired of leaders not doing the right thing over and over again. We're tired of decisions that everybody knows, is not the right decision, but yet they're taking it and they are the ones in power. So yeah, we are also, especially Malaysians, we are really tired of it. And that has created a sense of, I suppose, pessimism, very heavy. You feel heavy, you feel pessimistic, you feel tired, you just feel fed up. Actually, I think I know it's not a psychological term, but I think it's the most appropriate term. I think we are all fed up.
But to think that, okay, so my opinion is that, so what do you think is that, okay, so is it like the getting the fed up part a bigger impact on like mental health, or is it the isolation aspect of the lockdown that has a very big impact?
You're asking a car has got 4 wheels. Okay. So the state of the road is the pandemic. Okay. Then now the 4 wheels of the car is I'm fed up, I got mental health issues, I got this issue, I got that issue. It doesn't matter which wheel goes wrong. The car will stall. So, when people are trying to find, I always say this, when people are trying to find that one smoking gun, the one issue that is making somebody suicidal, making somebody want to self-harm, you're looking for one thing that makes somebody want to self-harm. It's not like that. It's like a cup. We all have inside us this container of how much nonsense we can hold, of how much resilience that we have. And the cup is already full. So for some people, they have ways of emptying out the cup. They have got other ways of relaxing themselves, emptying out the cup. But for some people, they have got no other way. They're stuck. And the cup is getting full and full and full. And right now, it's water tension that's holding it in. And let me tell you this, for self-harm can be keeping that cup from not hitting the top. Self-harm is a self-protective behavior. It's a self-coping behavior. So it can actually be keeping the cup from overflowing. And then you get one event, which can be nothing. It could be either, I'm suddenly fed up, or it could be I'm stuck with the family. It could be a fight with the family, something. But that will create one drop of water that hits the cup. And you know how water tension works, right? One drop of water goes in, it overflows much more than the one drop of water. Because the issue is not the one drop of water. The issue is how full that cup is. So if you think of it in that way, that's what's happening with mental health right now. The pandemic, everything has filled everybody's cup quite full already. So now it all depends on how full is your cup. How much more can you manage in your life? You get it or not?
So it's very so it's not very good to say that it's a biggest contributor, but rather it's a lot of build up and also a lot of factors that factors into it.
Yes. I think the word that we used just now, it was a catalyst, because it creates that situation with all these other factors, which is also why you get people who don't feel suicidal. And one of the worst things that we can have would people who don't cut. And the people who don't feel suicidal and don't feel you cut, if you can go and say, look, all of us are in the pandemic. I also don't feel like killing myself. What is wrong with y'all? How can y'all think that the pandemic, I'm also in it, everybody's in it, but why are y'all so special? That kind of thinking we need to throw out the window. Because, yes, we are all in the pandemic, but that cup, how full your cup is, how full everybody else's cups is, totally different story. Okay, so that is the danger of that questioning that you were, that form of thinking that you had just now. I hope you can see it. And it's one of those things where it allows for people to make this judgment that I am also in the pandemic. I also have this problem. I'm sure some of you all have heard lecturers, you have heard of lecturers say this, when we were young, we have so many problems. I am married, I got this, I got that. How come you all can kill yourselves and I can still not kill myself? That kind of ignorant statements. Okay, so this idea that this one thing causes somebody to commit suicide, or my stress is more important than your stress, I have the same kind of stress, so you should be able to handle it. All that kind of thinking, it needs to go. It needs to be, that's a myth that we need to blast. What is really happening is that an individual circumstances is so layered, it's so complex, the ability to cope for each individual, our ability to cope is different, our ability to manage stress is different. All those factors come in to play in order to create the situation where suicide rates go up, cutting goes up, self-harm goes up, all those things. Chia, am I saying the right thing here, or have I gone off track? I got a bit emotional there.
Yeah. Nah, you want I didn't hear the emotional part, but it is quite true. That is really what is and that's why sometimes we don't understand why people reacted so huge. And then we judge them. Chill, man. Asking that person to chill when they're pissed off, I would say, you're so pissed off, go ahead. Give them the space, give them the permission to just kaboom. I'm going to use that word, kaboom. Let them, and then at least it's out.
Yeah. Yeah, but if they are kabooming too much and you are getting shrapnel from the kaboom, you have equal space to go out of the room.
Fine line.
You don't have to stay in the room. Okay. You give some people space to kaboom, but then you give yourself protection to self-protect and go, okay, I can't handle your kaboom, so I'm so gonna leave. Okay, so self, allowing someone space and protecting yourself goes together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very insightful
Metaphor.
answer. Yes. Okay, so I think we can move on. Kaboom. Yeah.
Use that next time.
Okay, so I think we can move on to the second question. Is there a trigger point or a point of no return for someone that is committing self-harm or someone that has suicidal intention?
I'll start with self-harm first. Yeah, trigger point first. Then after that, I talk about self-harm before we go to suicide.
You talk about self-harm. You talk about self-harm first. Okay.
So self-harm have a very I don't know, in psychology world, we always say there's always a spectrum. So self-harm in what sense? Self-harm in what way? And a lot of times, sometimes it just happens. Not to say no return, but a lot of times, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of times self-harming, they do not want to end their life. They just do not know how to release that tension within themselves a lot of times. And sometimes these emotions will just suddenly just flood. And one thing I tell people is that allow that emotions to come, because the more you're going to control it, the more you're going to suffocate. And it's going to be very, is that pressure cooker. It's going to explode. So so a lot of times when they let it out, right, they'll start crying. They go take a shower, cry, or maybe, stare at the corner of the bed, crying or whatever it is, being angry, punching, biting the arm, and then or do self-harming stuff, whether it is cutting themselves or so. When you say no return, I assume that it is that they cannot stop. Am I right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it's that there's after through proper consultation or anything like that, is that they are still somewhat I'm not sure it's the word addicted or somewhat is that they are still keen on that specific, either suicidal intent or self-harm.
Self-harm is a coping mechanism. Dr. Anasuya might correct me after that. But to me, self-harm is a coping mechanism. It's a form of way that once I cut and I see that blood flow out, my focus is no longer on the emotional pain that I'm experiencing. I'm focusing on releasing that pressure within myself. Because a lot of times, right, they don't understand why they find it hard to breathe. Why do they have this chest tightness and everything? And while cutting themselves and see it, they divert the focus. They divert the pain, the emotional pain to the physical pain. And you'll be very surprised, right? In a lot of studies done, right? A lot of times, right, they will know when to stop. They would know when to save themselves. So a lot of times, reported cases is when they cut themselves, for example, cutting themselves, they tend to have a clean towel nearby. They know where to get a clean towel. They know when to stop the bleeding. So, and once they feel the sense of relief, they will stop the bleeding. They will, how to say, but that is how they cope. You know how when you're having a bad day, for some people, you either smoke a lot or you drink a lot or you go out and play futsal or whatever, which is now, you can't do that. Some people do that, or go to the gym and just keep on working out and just push your body. And a lot of people thought working out is good. Honestly, I've tried before. Sometimes when you push your body too much, you tend to throw up. When you push your body too much. I'm not sure how many of you here work out until to the extent, but I've tried for triathlon before during my undergrad and master years as a university student. To join their team, oh my God, the working out, right? You push yourself so hard to a certain extent, right? After you stand up, you're like, hold on. Because your body just cannot take it. You're lifting up certain weights. So yeah, maybe I'm now about, done.
Okay, but before that, can we dive deeper into the concept of self-harm? So you mentioned that it's a coping mechanism, right? So ideally, it's generally thought that it's not a very good coping mechanism, but do you think it's a viable option if there's no other options for that specific person?
Oh yeah, it's definitely no, like Chia said, I totally agree with her. It's a coping mechanism. The only reason why it's not a good coping mechanism because you can accidentally on purpose kill yourself or accidentally on purpose do a bit more harm, because like some people when they cut, then they cut in one place too many times until it doesn't heal. So then they start bleeding out more. Or people that they don't want to find out that they cut, find out that they cut, and it becomes a big issue more than it should be. So I mean, the reason why it's a negative coping mechanism is it's same like smoking. You're hurting yourself. It's smoking also helps you cope, but ultimately it is still hurting yourself. So find a healthier coping mechanism. That's all it is. Okay. But your question on coping, on self-harm was, can you repeat the question?
You mean the question just now?
Yeah, just now.
So is there a tipping point or a point of no return for someone that's committing either self-harm or
No,
as
then
suicide?
After that you said something.
Oh, what I meant is that is it still considered a viable option if that specific person does not have any other means of releasing?
It's a very viable option. The reason why people cut, the reason why people slam their fists against walls, which is my choice of self-harm. My choice of self-harm was punching a wall. So now when I punch a wall, I can punch with quite force without feeling pain. Okay, but mine was punching walls. So at certain points in our lives, because things get overwhelming, and you feel trapped, you feel you don't know what else to do. Self-harm does help. It is called a coping mechanism because ultimately it helps you cope. So yeah, it does work. Temporary.
Yeah.
It's not permanent fix and it's not a healthy fix, but it does work. So people who have their cup full, they use self-harm to release some of the tension in the cup, and it works. So it's definitely viable because it does do that.
Let me share one client, or apparently has been done before. I work with someone who got raped, and our culture always think that rape makes you dirty. So what she does for her self-harming is she takes the metal scrub, the one we wash plates and pots, and she used that as her shower because she felt that she's very dirty. And I noticed it wasn't just her, it was a lot of people, because our mental state is that if you get raped, you're useless, you're invaluable to society, you're dirty. That's the word, you're dirty. So their coping mechanism is that because they felt so dirty every time when they shower, they will use something harsh. Because when you're in the shower, you're alone. So they will use something harsh like that metal brush, and she'll brush herself. Even when there's cut, right? And it's painful, you know. I'm not sure how many of you have tried this. If you have a cut, a fresh wound, and soap and water touches, it's actually very painful. But that was her coping mechanism. That was her coping mechanism. So it was her way of cleaning herself. She wished that she could clean herself head to toe. Because
I have another one similar where this was a boy, and the parents used to call the boy all kinds of words, very bad words. So in order to clean himself, for him it wasn't the pain. He will cut in the shower, and it wasn't the pain. It was watching his blood go down the drain. When he sees the blood leaving the body and going down the drain, that's when he felt better. It's like I'm washing away the dirty blood inside me because it comes from my parents. My parents have all said I'm dirty, I'm worthless, I'm nothing. Mother called him excrement, kinds of things like that. So, so for him, when he sees himself, his own blood go down the drain, then he can manage going to school, talking to his friends, pretending the world is okay, when actually his parents are crap, and stuff has happened. So it does help. It really helps. But the reason why they help, that has to be addressed. So when you go deeper and you look at the pain that they're hiding, the pain that they are forced to go through, the situation, the trappedness that they have, the judgment of people that, you are dirty, you are not accepted, there's no place for you. These kind of things, are what people who cut overcome. So if our society can be kinder, can be more accepting, can be softer, then maybe they don't need to cut anymore. So the fault is not in the victim. The fault is in a society that supports the perpetrators.
So the problem is not removing the coping mechanism, but removing the problem that they are using it to cope, right? Is that safe to say?
Yes. I never tell people to stop cutting or stop self-harming. I will say is that, maybe you want to consider, as we work on this, to find other methods of managing. But I won't tell somebody to stop, because I know then I'm taking away a coping mechanism.
Okay. That's very interesting. That's very deep. Okay. So
Last for deep.
Okay. So as for the second part, so is there any kind of point of no return for someone that is with suicidal intent in that case?
Once they've decided.
So once they are keen on that, and then they are forced not to.
No. Once they've decided, the people who have the most successful suicides, the rates of successful suicides are people over the age of 45 who've decided to kill themselves. When somebody over the age of 45 has decided to kill themselves, the method they'll use is very little. The way they will do it is very quiet. They don't ask for help. They just get it done. And at that point, there's nothing anybody can do. Because the method, the approach, everything is so precise. It is a decision that they are following through with rigor. And at that point, nobody can intervene. There's no room for intervention because they don't allow it. A lot of our intervention comes in when people provide room and space for intervention. So it really depends on that choice that somebody makes and whether they have got, in that choice, there's room for us to intervene or not. The point of no return is the choice.
Okay, I see. So it's a different scenario for both self-harm and also suicidal intent. Okay.
It's two totally different. Please don't get the two mixed up.
Yeah.
Correct, Chai? Two different things.
Okay.
Self-harming stops people from suiciding.
Oh.
Self-harming stops suicidal thoughts. Self-harming is preventive of suicidal thoughts. I know there's a myth that goes around that self-harm and Chai, maybe you correct me on this one, that self-harm leads to suicide. It does not lead to suicide. People may like I said, they may accidentally kill themselves because they cut so many times and it doesn't heal. But actually, it rarely leads to suicide. Is that correct, Chai? Rarely. I mean, there will be 1 or 2 cases where it does, but for the most part, it's the minority. Correct?
Yes. Even in training in masters, when I studied my masters, self-harming and suicide are two very, very different things. That's why it's 2 different modules in understanding. When I did counseling training, self-harming and suicide are 2 different, very different things. And I know this sounds a bit scary. Self-harming can be lifetime because that's their coping mechanism. So yeah. And there's a lot of stigmatized because you can see the cuts sometimes. So when you see the cuts, a lot of people judge. So what I did the last time with one student where I saw the cuts, what I did was the person had a fractured arm. So, and he was trying to hide it with the cast, but I saw the cuts and I knew it was more than that. So what I did was I took a red color marker pen, I put a heart shape, and then he teared. Then I was like, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So I just draw a heart shape. I didn't draw on the cast. Everybody draw on the cast, but I saw the mark and I was like, and that meant a lot, enough. And then just say, hey, I'm here whenever you need to. That's it. Move on.
Okay, I think that's a very insightful answer as well. Okay, so I think we can move on to the third question, which is, do you agree that suicidal tendency is a form of mental illness? If not, should attempted suicide be considered a crime?
Oh no, one of the best things is that it's no longer a crime. The ministry has finally moved to make it not a crime. So yes. So that answers your question. Do I think it's not a crime? No, it's not a crime. It shouldn't be criminalized. That was nonsense that we did based on God knows what. But yes, I'm glad it's not a crime.
Okay. Okay, so I think we can. Okay, that's a fairly short one. Okay, so I think we can move on to the next one. So do you think that suicide is a personal liberty? It's like,
sorry?
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, so this was based on the premise that it is still a crime, so I'm not sure about that. So do you think that it is a liberty? So it is like your own choice, because you have a lot of arguments of pro-choice or pro-life, right? So like your body, your choice. So is killing yourself considered a pro-choice as well? Is it a liberty, a personal liberty?
See, you want to go first, Jay?
From the suicide kind of expert is, of course, our mentality is our body. We will, or people who are self-harming, we tend to, our body, you don't tell a smoker to stop smoking after he had a good meal and then he takes a cigarette, you say, hey, don't smoke lah, no good for you. You think they don't know? They actually know it's not good for them. So I only can speak for self-harming. Suicide-wise, honestly,
okay, I'll jump in.
yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're talking about euthanasia, even euthanasia, somebody who's got a long-term disease and then they choose to stop, or kill themselves or stop any kind of thing. I'm for euthanasia under the support the person system and have euthanasia. So I'm for euthanasia. Now, suicide, is it a personal choice? Here's my question. If somebody is in a situation where they feel trapped and they feel they have no choice, can you say their choice is a choice? If you, from your life circumstances and societal circumstances, have put you in a position where you feel you are trapped, you cannot move, there's no hope in my life, I don't know what to do, I feel like everybody has given up on me. So should everybody else give up on that person? And to me, the answer is no. I don't believe this is a personal belief here. I do not personally believe that suicide is the choice of somebody in a sane state of mind. There's something called existential madness. It comes from the school of existentialism. And I kind of when it comes to how we look at the world, I actually do agree with this philosophy that as human beings, we are hardwired for life. We are hardwired to exist. So when somebody chooses to end their existence, it is a form of existential madness. Now, within this existential madness, it is, the whole world has overwhelmed you. You've lost meaning, you've lost connection, you've lost everything. So that is when people are, inverted commas, choosing suicide or going towards suicide. And it is in that madness state, which is also why a lot of people, when they are suiciding, they open windows for intervention. So people will choose to attempt suicide in public. People will choose to, call people while they are suiciding. They'll reach out, they will do stuff. So all this gives us windows to intervene, to provide choices, to provide space, to provide opportunities, to provide connections, so that that existential madness can leave. Now, if the existential madness wins, it wins. If it doesn't go and the person completes suicide, they complete suicide. There's nothing much we can do about it. At that point, when somebody has completed suicide, then for the sake of the family, then you can say it is their choice. Because at that point in time, all we can do is protect the living. But while that person is still alive, I will fight to keep them alive. Because suicide does not hurt one person. There is, when somebody comes and tells me, oh, I will, if I kill myself, it will reduce the pain in the world. No, that's a lie. You can say that suicide will reduce your pain, but you cannot say that suicide will reduce the pain in the world. I have a family member who suicided. I know individuals who've suicided, and I can speak as somebody who's experienced it, that no matter how hard it was, the person's death was much harder. And I've had people who've just seen suicides. They don't even know who the person is. They just saw somebody jumping, random person jumping, don't know who. But the amount of impact it had on them was terrible. I've seen hospital nurses. I've seen people in morgues. Suicide, you cannot come and tell me that, suicide reduces the pain. No. Suicide exponentially increases the pain in this world. And, you say, when you talk about freedom, your freedom ends when other people are hurt. So as when other people are hurt, we have the chance to intervene. Why do we intervene? We don't arrest the person. That's ridiculous. They're not committing a crime. What they're doing is they need intervention, they need support, they need a system that can act as a way to help them and to help them heal and to find their way and to give them hope. And jail does not do any of those things. Going and seeing the police officers don't do any of these things. So, you need a system that supports people. That's what we're talking about. So, yeah. So for me, it's not an easy answer. It's a very complex answer. And it does go down to the philosophies of what people believe. But it's why I fight suicide and why I've gone on roof. I've answered people at midnight. I've talked to people until 3 a.m. in the morning, because I will fight it. I will try my best to fight it, because I do think that being alive is more important. But ultimately, it is still that person's, if they really cannot, nobody can stop them, then it becomes their choice. Because I can't take responsibility for your life. If I try to do that, I will go crazy. So for us to say it is somebody's choice, it is basically at that point, I give up. I can't stop this person. And I give up when that person is dead. I give up when the person is said to be dead. That's the point I give up. I do not give up while they're alive. Okay, at least so far I don't give up while they're alive. I give up when they're dead.
Okay, actually, another question.
I'm not sure how much sense that made, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, to build upon that, so do you think that an act of suicide is an act of selfishness in that sense?
I think it's an act of desperation.
Okay. So for this question, does Ms. Pang, do you have anything you want to add on like personal liberty as a whole. Okay, if not, I think we can move on to our final questions or topic. So, do you think that, sorry, can you pause for a bit? Okay, so the last question is, do you think that self-harm is considered as attempted suicide?
I think we answered that already.
Yeah, okay, so actually I don't have any more else, so I think we can.
Self-harm is not attempted suicide. Chia?
No, it's not. It's two very different things. But one thing I want to clear the air is that don't think self-harm is just about cutting. Self-harm can come in so many forms, many forms. And I just want us to break from that mentality that self-harming means cutting themselves. No, there's many
Self-harm.
of self-harming.
Self-harm can be self-sabotaging yourself at work, making yourself embarrassed, like doing things wrong on purpose, saying things wrong on purpose to get people to scold you. That's self-harm. Self-harm can be what else? Self-harm can, it can be overeating. It can be over-exercising. Both can be self-harm. You exercise to the point of crazy. You overeat to the point of crazy. Both can be self-harm. What else self-harm? Oh, pulling hair. Hair pulling out hair. Self-harm can be, let me think of non-physical self-harm. What are non-physical self-harms? Other than you can work. Oh,
vape.
Sorry?
No, I wanted to say vaping, but that was by choice.
No, not really. I'm thinking more of, not just self-sabotaging at work, but self-sabotaging relationships. Like you yourself are in a relationship and then you go and destroy your own relationships with people. You destroy your own relationships with friends. So, I mean, it's self-punishment. You find ways to punish yourselves. So yeah, self-harm can be all those things.
But do we draw a line where it's considered as serious or not serious? Because maybe those hair pulling is not as serious as cutting yourself. Do we distinct that, or do we draw a line between that?
No, we draw a line because we are uncomfortable by seeing blood. But the society is more uncomfortable with seeing blood than the cutting, but the cutting may not be as dangerous as some of the other things that people do. Destroying your work might be much more dangerous than self-sabotaging at work. Self-sabotaging your relationships can have much more dangerous long-term effect on your career, on your life, than just cutting yourself. Okay, throwing up. People want to throw up, they eat food and they throw up. They choose to eat foods that can harm them. That one is a bit more dangerous, but people do all kinds of things. The creativity of human beings is quite scary.
So you could tell when someone change, character, personality change, or character change, or behavior change. Those are the signs. For me and Dr. Anasuya, it's just lack of sleep lah. So this is nothing. So you could tell based on whether, the most important is whether or not are you able to communicate with them. Usually people who self-harm tend to, what's that word, to distance themselves with people. Yeah, they tend to distance themselves with people, and then you won't hear from them for days, sometimes even months, all of a sudden. And then sometimes they'll come back and they'll say, hey, I've been busy. And then they're not busy. Sometimes we know, in our thought, we know they're lying. So there must be a reason why they cover what they did. So those are some of the signs.
Okay, that's a very interesting insight. Okay.
I want to add here that just because we haven't mentioned it, that to keep in mind in our society, one of the reasons groups that are excluded from society tend to have higher suicide risk and higher self-harm behavior because they are rejected. LGBTQ, we're talking about people who've gone to jail, youth who have gone to jail for stupid reasons and come out, and then they're trying to find jobs, they're trying to get back their life back together. People who are recovering from drugs, because all these things are anything that where they, from their past behavior, they've created a stigma. and society is so good at stigmatizing people, these individuals are very susceptible to needing negative coping behaviors like self-harm, or have higher thoughts of suicide, because the level of trapped, the level of helplessness is so much higher because society is so damn stupid.
So, okay. So you can say that, just back to the question on drawing a line, is more of the society is drawing a line, and then for the victim themselves, the coping mechanism, the effect is the same, no matter how far along the spectrum is, right?
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
bit hard to say. That's asking if exercising for 2 hours is the same for everybody. It's not the same. I mean, one person exercises for 2 hours is different. You know, it's you have to see the individual at that point. You know, they don't always. We always have to remember that we can't. There's no one cure fits everybody. You know, some people look at a wonderful virus right now. Some people have what reactions people are having to, you know, the AZ, everybody has different reactions. Some people no reaction, some people terrible reaction, some people cannot walk for 2 days. I mean, you know, so it's the same kind of thing with these coping mechanisms with suicidal thoughts. You know, the extent that you will see signs and symptoms depends on that individual. And assuming that everybody will have a same kind of symptoms or signs, they may have similar along the spectrum. That's why that word, you know, Chia said that we like to use the word spectrum, because along the spectrum, there may be certain kinds of behaviors, but one behavior, no, we are very complex, you know, we're interesting human beings. We always do things, we like to be unique.
I just want to add on to something is that for the society, all of us need to reframe our mind a little bit, in the sense of people who seek help, right? A lot of times when people seek for counseling or clinical psychologists or any form of help, our society will feel like, oh, you're broken. You will not be 100% functional anymore in society. And so that's why a lot of people are not seeking for professional help. Reason is because they do not want to be labeled. They don't want to be stigmatized that, they're not, they can't find a job. A lot, you'd be very surprised when I talk to people, right? They are very scared of going for professional help, is because if other people find out they went for professional help, they won't get a job. They won't be able to feed the family. And this has to change. This really has to change. So it is the fact that you are seeking for help, to me, that's bravery. The fact that you are going to share, may share your vulnerability and the, things that is challenging you, to me, that is strength. It's a different form of strength, but it's strength. So I think as a society, as a community, we need to reframe that mind, in the sense of asking for professional help is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah. And one very easy way to do it is to encourage companies to have EAP, employee assistance programs, where the company, encourages people to go for therapy or even pays for therapy, because then it recognizes that therapy is part of a normal healing process. It's like going to the doctor. It's pretty normal. It's one of the easiest ways to start changing societal myths, workplace.
Okay, so other than those two, right, is there any other general advice or steps to kind of move the society in a correct direction towards this kind of suicidal intention or self-harm?
Yeah, don't ever tell somebody, don't ever on social media make statements of, oh, should I kill myself now? Go and say, yes, kill yourself. Don't make statements like that, number one. Okay. Number two, if your boyfriend comes and tells you, or your girlfriend comes and tells you, if you don't marry me, I will kill myself. You know what your answer is? Okay, I'm going to hang up now. I'm not going to marry you. But right now, I'm going to make a police report that you're going to kill yourself so police can come and protect you. But I'm going to block you after this. That is the correct response. Take it seriously. Do not tell them, go ahead. Tell them instead, I am going to now report you. Either report the behavior to the parents, report the behavior to the authorities, and back away and save yourself from that person. Never date somebody who threatens to suicide themselves if you don't date them or you don't continue a relationship with them, please don't do that. It's very bad for your mental health. But it's not a good idea to tell them, oh yeah, go ahead, kill yourself. No, the correct answer is, you know what? I cannot continue this relationship for my mental health. What I'm going to do is I'm going to report what you said to the authorities, and you please get the help that you need, but I cannot be part of this relationship anymore. I'm out. And then just block, get out of the relationship, tell the authorities and say bye-bye.
Okay. So I think we can conclude that, like, to move the society to a better is to make them more to show empathy, is it, or like to make them good behavior to kind of solve these kind of issues?
Just be kinder.
Be kinder.
A bit more compassionate. You don't have to go empathy. Empathy, very big word. You know, it's a short word, but compassion is a bigger word, but somehow empathy seems bigger. No, just be compassionate, be kind. You know, just be kind to people. Just be compassionate to people. And
to yourself. Be kind to yourself also.
Oh yeah, explain yourself. Yeah, in yourself.
Be kind to yourself. Self-care.
Okay.
Disappears because of the background.
Okay, so I think you can move on to the last question, which is, okay, let's just end on a lighter note. So any general advice for self-care, self-love, those kind of stuff? That's a very
I think we just did that.
Laugh at yourself. Okay.
Yes.
But okay, like one of my self-care that was kind of short-circuited because of COVID is massage. I love massage. I adore massages, and I've had no massage for a very long time thanks to COVID. So yeah, thank you, COVID. Okay. But find what makes you relax, and what makes you relax may be different from other people. And whatever you find, some people like facials, some people like playing with their dogs, some people like going skiing, some people like mountain climbing, some people like exercising until they get sick. Seriously, Chia, you ever did that? Wow. You know, I never did that. Let's that for me, that's like self-torture. I'm not a masochist, okay? So yeah, but some people prefer whatever you choose to do to care for yourself, take care of yourself. And maybe one thing is, put down the handphones on some days, few hours, you don't have to reply immediately. That helps a lot. Few days, you don't have to reply. Lose the handphone for a few days might be a good idea.
Well, get a support group. And when I say support group, identify who you can talk to or whatsoever. One thing that our friend here always reminds me, Miss Pang boundaries, which is Brandon, always remind me. So Brandon and boundaries, so okay, fine, boundaries, set boundaries. Sometimes I tend to forget that. So sometimes it's good to have people reminding you, self-care, everything. Yeah, be kind to yourself, really. Because honestly, if you crack or you get exhausted or whatever, it becomes a ripple effect. People get worried about you. People could see. You don't have to tell them, they can see it. And yeah, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And yeah.
And get help. Go and see a counselor if you need it. If the university has free counseling, please go. Use the facilities.
Free service.
Okay, I think I can end it there. So thank you so much once again, Ms. Pang and also Dr. Anasuya, for attending this speaker panel and also sharing such insightful views, and hope that society can move to a better, more kinder direction in the future. Okay, so I think we can end the recording here. Okay, thank you so much.